Jared and Jacob from Marble City Pharmacy and Help Monday. Join us for a few minutes here on this 14th day of August. Guys, we just zipping right on through the month, aren't we?
It's wild.
It just keeps going.
It's hot.
It is. We're not talking
Can't you do something about that?
No.
Okay.
He's the
We're not
weatherman.
going to talk about this today, but it won't be too long we start taking them shots again, you know?
It won't be long.
Yeah,
Actually, we
yeah.
have the flu shots. We're not going to start doing them on September 1st.
Yeah.
Got some billing things to work through, but yeah. It's time.
All right, so hypothyroidism.
There you go.
That's what we're talking about today.
You
I
guys.
see that smile on your face right there.
I wasn't
You
expecting.
didn't think I could say it, did you?
I wasn't
No.
expecting much better than that. No. Hypothyroidism. How about just a basic definition? Hypo means low, right? This is when the level of thyroid hormone in your body is low. That's the best way to define it. We're going to talk more about this in just a second, but basically your thyroid gland does not produce enough thyroid hormone.
Jacob,
Yes, sir.
for us folks that don't know, what is thyroid?
All right, very good. So, well, there's thyroid gland and thyroid hormone. So it's two things. The gland sits about right here,
Okay.
bottom of your neck.
All right?
And what it does is it controls a lot more than you think it does. It controls the way your body processes fats and carbs. It controls the rate at which your body makes proteins. It has an effect on controlling your heart rate. It has an effect on controlling your body temperature. That sounds like pretty much, covering everything. And so if your thyroid is off, if you're having trouble with it, high, low, or either direction, low is obviously much more common. That's why we're talking about it. All those things become off. And if the way you process all your foods and nutrients is off, then every other health process is off too. So it just covers a lot of ground.
So, what's some of the symptoms of this?
Well, this goes along with things that Jacob said. Basically, if your thyroid is low, you can almost think about it like as kind of slowing everything down. People who have low thyroid hormone are tired. They're cold, as opposed to a person with high thyroid. They're hot. Sometimes they're overactive. A person with low thyroid sometimes gets constipated. They gain weight because their metabolism is not what it was. Like Jacob said, their heart rate is low, and so sometimes, especially in women, one of the first things they notice is their hair starts to fall out. So those are some of the kind of things you can notice. There's a number of things there, and, and those are symptoms that are sometimes confused with other things, right? So you have to get a blood test to know if you truly have hypothyroidism. And so this is not like I have a headache. It's not something that's subjective. It is something that can be measured, and it can be measured by blood test.
Now, Jacob, I noticed that Jared said, and it's a serious matter, about
I think I know where this is
the
going.
lady's hair falling out.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway,
Next question.
what
please.
causes all of this?
There are a lot of potential causes, but it almost, the two you can throw out real quick, because it sits right here. You've had to have cancer radiation right there. If you had to have surgery right there and something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so there's two that are out there and happen, but vast majority of the time, none of that's what's really going on. It is a type of disease that, there's several long words coming at you, so here we go. It's an autoimmune disease. What that means is self-attacking self.
I've heard that.
Rheumatoid arthritis is a self-attacking self disease. Type 1 diabetes is self-attacking self. This is an autoimmune disease. We should have titled today, instead of hypothyroid, we should have made you title today Hashimoto's thyroiditis, because when, like almost everybody that has it, it's the autoimmune disease, and that's what that's called technically. So it's self-attacking self. Your body sees your thyroid and what it does as a foreign invader, just like it would a germ or something else, and attacks it and keeps it from doing its job. But that's what causes it. And it's, what did I do to make that happen to me? Nothing. And just luck of the draw.
Well, the
sometimes.
unknowns,
Yeah,
right?
luck of the draw.
Yeah. Who was most likely to have to deal with this?
Well, it does happen more so in men than women.
No.
I mean, women than men. Jacobs, I should have got more sleep last night.
Yeah.
He corrected you on air.
He
It was
Live.
fun too.
He should have corrected me. It happens in women more so than men. Jacob already mentioned autoimmune disorders such as Hashimoto's. And then the third thing would be people with a family history of thyroid. You're more likely to have low hypothyroid if somebody in your family, particularly close family, has.
So hereditary.
It can be.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Are there a lot of treatment options available?
Yeah, yes and no. Treatment is actually simpler than you think. And so it's going to sound oversimplified when I say this. If your problem is you don't have the right levels of thyroid hormone, in the case we're talking about you don't have enough thyroid hormone, you take pills that mimic thyroid hormone. It's synthetic thyroid hormone. It sounds overly simple, and to some extent it is. What makes it complicated is finding the right dose for each person. Because your body, when it's working properly, when you don't have this disease, produces the exact right amount and levels itself out all the time. Basically, well, it feels like there's a little too much. Let's make less. Feels like and fixes itself constantly. So we have to be real careful with the dose of finding the right dose. Fortunately, they make no less than 10 to 15 different doses. It's not like there's just one or two. And so blood tests, symptoms, your doctor retesting for a while, they're going to find the right dose. It just takes a little while. But that's how you treat it. You take synthetic thyroid hormone. And it does matter, there's so many people out there taking it, so half the people watching this probably know what I'm talking about. But it matters when you take it. You got to take it in the morning, first thing, an hour, give or take, before you eat. To get it in there, otherwise it doesn't process. You don't get any good from the pill. And two, you got to keep going back to the doctor and adjusting that dose and getting it measured. But as long as they keep that right dose on you, I mean, it's almost as though nothing is wrong with you.
This is not a topic that a lot of people discuss, obviously. And not knowing a whole lot about this, just say, I just let it go.
Yeah, good question. Well, first of all, no, we don't talk about this that much. I think you talk to the average person on the street, hypothyroidism's not on their, they don't talk about this at Friday night at parties, right? On Friday night at parties. But you would be surprised how much thyroid hormone we dispense at the pharmacy every single day. How many questions we get about the symptoms that are involved in this and what can be done. And sometimes, and Jacob kind of alluded to this, but you can get your thyroid hormone prescribed to you, and sometimes the dose can be too high. You may have to back off of it. I mean, when you begin thyroid hormone treatment, it's a little bit of an educated guessing game. So you get the dose, you get your blood measured, you maybe get another dose, get your blood measured until it gets right, as Jacob was referring to. If you leave this untreated, though, it sounds like maybe it's no big deal, but some of the things that we referred to already can give you some clues to what happens if it goes untreated. The number one biggest problem, if you continue in a hypothyroid state, is heart problems. So if your thyroid hormone helps you to process fats and carbohydrates, and it remains low, you won't process those fats and carbohydrates. Guess what happens when your fats and carbohydrates build up? You get high cholesterol. Guess what happens when you get high cholesterol? You have heart problems. So that's the number one thing. One of the things that surprised actually both Jake and I when we were looking into this is another thing when you let your thyroid hormone go too low for too long is a term called peripheral neuropathy.
Which we've talked about.
We talk about that at times when we talk about diabetes. A person who has diabetes for a long standing period of time has damage to their nerves. They get the numbness, pain, tingling in their feet and their extremities, right? And so, but the number one far and away would be heart problems. Peripheral neuropathy would be another.
Wow. Interesting.
It's important. Let's just put it like that.
Obviously. Hypothyroidism.
Very good.
Hashimoto's thyroiditis.
Same to you, buddy.
Hashimoto makes motorcycles.
Yeah, I've never ridden one of them either.
Me neither.
Jared and Jacob from Marble City Pharmacy with us this morning. And before we go, you touched on it, how hot it is. People can get in trouble. Heat index value is near 115 degrees today. And, I'm sure that I saw this thing the other day about people intentionally getting sunburned. It was some kind of crazy thing they were doing, intentionally getting sunburned. But you don't have to get sunburned to have a heat stroke, that's for sure.
No, not at all.
Well, that's serious. I don't know if maybe people in Alabama feel like we're used to the heat, but this is serious. And I think that being exposed to it is something we need to be careful about. I don't know about intentional sunburn. I'll be honest with you, I've never heard about that. That
saw
seems,
that.
seems like a
It's
real
nasty.
bad idea to me.
Golly.
A real bad
I can't
idea.
make up a reason in my head where that would ever be a good
Yeah.
idea.
There have been a number of heat-associated deaths. I know you probably talked about this
Yeah.
in the news. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, beautiful, beautiful showroom you got there with gifts galore. And, you know, sooner or later we're going to be changing the season, and we're getting ready for that too.
Oh, well, listen. We say we're getting ready for that. You know, Teresa that manages our gift department, when you go to these market stuff, you know, you buy Christmas stuff back in, you know,
Yeah.
March and April.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she's already gotten ready for all that. It's all just waiting in the wings, so to speak, for the changeover. She's ready. The store will look good when fall stuff. It looks good now. She does a good job with it.
And by the way, if you got a prescription at Marble City Pharmacy and you're just kind of like me, you're in a hurry, you don't want to go in the store, face these guys, you can go through the drive-through.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure I'd face this either.
Yeah, you gotta have a strong will and a strong stomach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks guys for coming by this morning. Jacob and Jared from Marble City Pharmacy. Health Monday. We'll be back with some closing thoughts on Daybreak Live after you watch this.